he had been asked to shoot some inappropriate home videos, if you know what I mean. And he said, no, absolutely not. Welcome to Sunny Side Up Podcast. Morning, Brent.
Morning. I'm glad to be back.
So, what about your friends do you like and find attractive?
Well, first, I feel like over the years I've adjusted my friends accordingly.
Same.
And I feel you have to do so as you grow. I think it may be super cliche, but I mean, it's just the general things that everyone I hope would find attractive in their friends. But, I consider myself a pretty hardworking and determined person. So I like to have friends that are the same. We talk about motivation, but I guess to keep me motivated, keep me in line, it's kind of like friendly competition, but, I want my friends to be successful and me at the same time and us to battle it out in a sense, and obviously just nice human beings. Obviously I want friends that I get along with and have no drama with. I like to keep my friends simple and drama free.
Mm-hmm.
Try to limit those unnecessary distractions.
Yeah, some people have friends that they don't like being around at some times. Like, oh, I don't like being around so and so when they're drinking, or I can't have so and so around my family because they're not a family oriented friend. And I think that's not a friend. That's just somebody you hang out with sometimes when you feel like it.
Yeah.
But a friend to me is somebody that I can leave alone with my parents, and they're not going to be like, you're friends with this guy?
Yeah.
Like, it's just that I don't choose friends that are like that. I choose friends that are very kind people and that I'm not worried about what they're going to say, or they have no filter, or they're, it's just, and aside from being hardworking and all the other traits that you want, you look for a person, whether dating or friendship. Aside from those things, that's the first thing that I look at is, are they a nice person that I can leave alone with my parents if I ever needed to? Which I don't know how often that would be, but that's what I think about when I meet somebody is, could I leave them alone with my family?
Mm-hmm.
And if I say no to that question, then I might talk to them, but it's not like I'm going to hang out with them and share my memories. No, it's,
So we talked a few weeks ago, or we just shared some probably videos with each other, but about chasing or attracting success. Ever since we talked about it, I've just watched some videos here and there about it and did a lot of self-reflecting on, chasing versus attracting. And, going with your friends, I mean, if you're a crappy person, you're probably going to have, crappy friends. Gosh, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to have to blank this biatch out.
I think what you were getting to was like, what qualities of success do you find in people?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and we were talking about this before we started the cameras, but since I've been doing this podcast and for my 41 subscribers, far,
as far as a couple days ago, could be changed now.
And thank you to all of you guys. You mean the world to me.
All 41, classroom full.
Yeah, that's true.
You could be a teacher.
I am teaching to 41 of you. Thank you. But since starting this podcast, I've met a few different people. I'm hoping to grow that, but I've noticed that everyone that I've spoken to that wants to be on, or that I should say that I present the idea of being on a podcast, all of these people are very accepting of the idea. And that's not something that I had expected. I thought that some people were going to say, oh, I don't know if I want to be on camera and have my words recorded and all that kind of stuff, because it's a valid point for some people. But
Mhm.
all the people that, at least that are in business so far, they are super willing and very excited to share their story, which is great for me because then I have new guests. But like I said, that's not something that I had that I had expected, and it's very pleasant. It was a pleasant surprise for me because, yeah, even though these are business people, they have a very busy schedule. Oh, I love to do that. Well, when can we do it? I can't wait to share my story. Like the episode with McQuenda. And all of my guests I have really enjoyed, but him in particular, I noticed just how happy he seems, and just how caring, and yeah, I would just say how caring he is, because he's a very service industry based person. Like, he films commercials for businesses, he does digital marketing, he does consulting. That's his world, is helping people. And so now that I think about it, it's no surprise that he was very willing to help me with this. And he's such an energetic and just kind of spunky guy, and I really enjoyed listening to him when he was talking about his business and what he does. But yeah, he just seems, him and everybody else, and everybody has different personalities in the way that they talk, and like, we are more, I would say, calm people that when we talk.
Yeah.
My mom always describes myself as a barrel of monkeys, being sarcastic, because I'm just very calm and easygoing. But McQuenda was very animated when he spoke, which is good for the listeners. Yeah, he's just very kind. And as soon as I met with him over the Riverside, which, Riverside, if you're listening, I would be more than willing to do a sponsorship with you. But when I met with him, I thought, this is somebody I would like to meet,
Mm-hmm.
and meet in person and
Right.
actually get to know. And I would like to get to know Jason, if you're watching this, and Ross, and Andrew Futrell, and all of you guys. I really enjoy speaking with you guys, but that's something that I really noticed about these people.
And you would consider all of them successful?
Yeah.
So I think so. That's perfect. So then you take a step back and look at all these people. What qualities do they share? And then it's like, okay, all these successful people have all of this in common.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take a reflection of yourself and you ask yourself honestly, do I share this quality? Why or why not? Am I similar in this way? Why or why not?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just cool in general, to listen to all these different people who have many differences, to see, what do they have in common that brings them success.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that I noticed was a moral compass, which is fantastic because that's what I'm trying to provide to YouTube. But in the episode with Jason, for example, he said that he does videography. He had been asked to shoot some inappropriate home videos, if you know what I mean. And he said, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to sell my soul for money. I know we're in the game of making money, and there's many avenues to do it, but that's not something that he was willing to do. And I thought, oh, thank God. I mean, here's somebody with a spine is willing to say no to money.
Mm-hmm.
And especially and he's been doing this business for a few years now, but I think he still said he's a not a beginner, but he doesn't have 20 years of experience doing
Right.
it
Yeah.
just because he's a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that's really commendable because I'm sure there's some people out there that would say, it's not my bag, but okay, I'll do it because it's money.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, no, absolutely not. And so that's something I liked about him, especially. I could tell, and with Ross, he was the real estate guy. We didn't really get into that because that's not really, I don't think you really make money from getting into that adult industry in real
Mm-hmm.
estate. But he seemed like a very morally compass guy because he mentioned that one thing he was looking for was a good Christian wife, which he got.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, for me, that's a very good quality. McQuenda said that he used to, what was this? He did something for the church, like he did mission trips, like he said he went to Nepal and did mission work, and that's very commendable. So all these people have good moral compasses, and that's something that I think maybe not in every case, but to be an entrepreneur, you have to have your head screwed on straight.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a good moral compass, that is probably going to come with some not good qualities about yourself otherwise.
Yeah.
Not leadership qualities, not business ownership material.
Yeah, and I think like what we talked about earlier, again, I think it was off camera, but just respecting yourself. And I've been thinking about it recently, but just like, yeah, respecting myself and being honest with myself, and this is something I feel like I've done pretty good at in general. I've just been putting, I guess, a harder focus on it lately. And it seems like, yeah, all these people you're interviewing have some self-respect and, they're honest with themselves, which is obviously a great quality. So,
yeah. I think that's something that I need to work on myself, but I'm also kind of happy that I have it, is not feeling good enough because in the age of, I mean, you guys are watching this through YouTube, so I'm sure you've seen more people than me, and you see these influencers in fitness or in business, and they show their success, and you think, okay, well that's what I want to obtain. What do I got to do to get to that? And once I started doing this podcast and the workout plans and I'm currently working on the online store, I've started to realize how much I don't know and how many things I need to improve about myself to get to that point. Not just, okay, I need to learn how to do this, but you gotta say, okay, I gotta set aside at least 2 hours a day for online store. I gotta maintain a good consistency with this podcast because content on a regular basis is what gets you success. I gotta devote time to that. I gotta maintain my health and my fitness. I can't be slacking off in the gym. It's like there's so many things that you need to have in your tool bag as a person to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so since I started doing it, I'm learning, okay, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. I need to improve my time management. Like there's so many things that I didn't realize I had to work on before starting this. So on one hand, I think it's good for me to know these things and to say, okay, I have stuff to work on. I have stuff to improve. But on the other hand, I am thinking more and more poorly of myself as time goes on because I'm realizing that I'm not, I have a lot of stuff to work on. It's like,
yeah, I think people see influencers, and I'm going to just kind of tie back into like chasing versus attracting success. But going what you kind of said about influencers, there's so many people out there, so many stories. And I think just social media today, everyone sees these stories and they're a lot more prevalent, to people. and they kind of lose sight of themselves or their own morals or whatever to try to achieve and chase this success, that they kind of forget about who they are and what they need. They're kind of just willing to do anything.
Like shoot adult content.
Yeah, that's like, kind of what I'm trying to, they're doing stuff they don't even like. I've always said it, but I think a lot of people, do things in life just to please other people, instead of, like what you said, taking a step back, looking at yourself and say, hey, I need to improve myself here, or work on this, work on that. But really just like you said, you're finding stuff that you're wanting to improve about yourself or get better at. And that's just being honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had seen a clip of, do you know who Justin Waller is? He's an entrepreneur.
I'm not sure.
Well, he is friends with the Tate brothers, and he owns a steel building business.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen somebody had asked them a question, and they said, should I focus on business first, or should I focus on building up myself first?
Mm-hmm.
And when I had first seen that, I thought, I would think to do the business first. But he said, build yourself first. But then when he explained it, that makes a lot of sense, because if you don't have the discipline necessary to build a business, what makes you think that if you say, all right, I'm going to start a marketing agency, that you're just going to have the discipline to do it, be able to sit down for 6 hours a day and build it? You're probably not.
Right.
So you should focus on building your discipline, building your mental fortitude first, and then doing the business will come easy. Then working out will become easy, because you have the tools necessary to do that, which that made a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, and I know that there's a lot of kids, literal kids, that are making more money than their parents are in today's day and age, with drop shipping, with videography, with stocks, crypto, all these different avenues. So I know that they're out there, but I think the most important piece of all of that, your whole life, is developing the discipline to do the things that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as doing the things that you like to do, because you mentioned not, some people are just doing things just to do them, just to pay the bills or whatever. Now, for me, I'm doing this for two reasons. One is to provide a good list of influences for young people, but also to make money. This is a business. The same thing with the drop shipping. I want to provide good health and fitness products to people to try to grow this brand, but I'm also going to make money too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people do drop shipping.
Mm-hmm.
But every day when I'm building the store, when I'm learning how to run ads, how to import products, and all that, even something as simple as changing the color on the homepage, the color scheme, that gets me excited. Something as simple as that just makes my heart race, and I get wide-eyed thinking about, if I change the color format to be this over that, it's going to be a better experience for the customer. And if I can improve my speech, which I also found out that I'm lacking at since I started watching my own videos, I can provide a better video content to the audience. And these things get me genuinely excited. And so, I would assume to a lot of people sitting in front of the computer for hours and hours and hours at nighttime figuring out how to build an online store, that might be kind of boring. But for me, I found out that I really enjoy it.
So to me, just in general, and the reason why you're one of my friends is because the discipline that you have is an attractive trait, and you know that you have the discipline to get it done, and I can see it. So kind of going back to attracting success. If success was your friend, like I'm your friend, are they going to want somebody? If success was just a person, right? And this person, if they came to you, you had it all. Well, they're not going to want to be your friend or be involved in your life if you're not disciplined and if you're just lazy and you don't have any ambition or you're not honest with yourself or you're not so that's kind of how I view it and how I look at my friends and myself. But yeah, I just really admire that quality.
Thank you. I mean, like I said, I don't feel like I'm there yet, and like we were saying off camera, I don't ever want to feel like I'm there. I don't ever want to feel like, okay, I've reached the top of the mountain. Like, no, I always want to be climbing. That's some people want to, and I think we talked about this. Like, some people want to just have a vacation and just do nothing and just relax. I don't want to do that. I always want to improve. I thank you for saying that. I don't want to, diss your compliment, but yeah, that's something I need to work on. But yeah, that's talking about what traits in a person that you admire. And something I always admire about you, even when we were back in the Henry Ford days, when I first met you, I thought this guy's a businessman because like you would come in to class and you would say, oh, look at this house I just found on Zillow. And then the next week or whatever, like however often the classes were, oh, look at this boat I just found. And just like your business mind and you're thinking, I'm not going to buy this boat and then buy the house and I'm not going to just keep buying and buying and buying. It was, how can I get money to pay for this item by either selling or you're going to do some kind of finagling to pay for this item. It wasn't just, I'm just going to use all my income. No, that's like that. You have a very clever and cunning mind for business stuff. Like how many times have you sold something and then bought something else with that money, or what I mean?
That happens every week.
Yeah, like these beautiful chairs that we're sitting on.
Yeah, that happens. I think people think I'm nuts, honestly.
That's good.
But again, I think I've always been able to be a little more honest with myself and in just the fact that this guy, musical artist, in one of his songs, he says, trust in yourself and nobody else. To me, I feel like I've always been able to, I feel like a lot of times too, I've lost trust in myself, but enough belief or trust in myself to do what I'm going to do. And I've told you this, I think, since we met, but you can't listen to anybody. But just believe in myself. And at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And if it's wrong, I'm going to learn from it. But I'm glad I have been honest with myself and, not try to, so many people have told me to do stuff so different. And I think if I would have listened to everybody else, there'd be no way I would have what I have or be where I'm at. And same thing with you. If you were to listen to everybody, would you be here doing this right now? Or, have your YouTube and all your fitness stuff and just all the stuff you're working on? Probably not, because everyone else is going to say, oh, that's silly, or
right,
you're dumb, or, whatever. So
that was one of the best pieces of advice of my life, is just don't listen to anybody. Because no matter what you do, somebody will say, "Don't do that."
And I'm not saying break the law. Like that's not
Right.
what I mean. Because I think you should hear everybody, and I think you should take people's opinions in.
But sift.
You had to evaluate. You know, do I like what this person's saying? You know, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but
No, you're good.
you know, I would talk to people who maybe aren't as successful in life versus people who appear to be, at least. And the people who were on the lower end always seemed to have the most to say. And some stuff was because they didn't want you to make the same mistake they did or whatever. But they also are like, oh, why would you do this? It's like, I don't know if I should listen to you because look where you're at in life. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to be there, you know? But anyways,
Like it's a
go on.
it's a hard knock to somebody, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I want to be scraping by in life and I don't want to, then I'll listen to you. But if I don't want to be scraping by, and if I want to have a good life and I want to move past the 9 to 5 life, then I got to listen to somebody who's done it.
Mm-hmm.
Just plain and simple. Now, I've heard a couple people talking about how, most people go to school, most people get a 9 to 5, most people grow old and die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody grows old and dies, but that's the typical path for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't want that, then you can't go to university and just get the same degree that everybody else is getting. It's like you can't do the same thing that everyone else is doing and expect to have a different result in the end.
I was just about to say that, like word for word.
Like most, and this is something that I was really interested to learn, is I saw a pie chart of, this was millionaires, and it said how millionaires got their money. Only 10% was family wealth. So only 10% of millionaires were given that money.
And that just, would you consider that just old money? So 90% is new money?
Right. So 90% of, and this is just a fact that I saw, so it might be
wrong
12 or it might be 8 or, but just a very small percentage of millionaires were just given all their money. So that means that around 90% are self-made. I mean, how many, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was on Shark Tank. He was one of the investors, and he was an older guy, had like a ponytail. He started a hair care company.
I can't remember.
Like, I think it had a French sounding name, but anyway, he said that he was homeless at one point, and then he sold his company for, what was it, $5 billion? Billion with a B, not million. Billion.
Jeez.
They valued the company at over $5.1 billion.
This is John Paul DeJoria.
And he was homeless. So that is a perfect example right there. And I know that's not everybody's story, but I was just very interested to learn that, because it's easy to look around at these rich neighborhoods. Like, we're in the Detroit area, so if you go up to Bloomfield Hills, Rochester area, some of these more affluent neighborhoods, it's easy to say, oh, wouldn't it be nice? And, but they were in our shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They were probably maybe even in worse positions than we are. And so I don't even know why I brought this up, but
well, I mean, like what qualities in all those people, or, and like I said, the people you have on the podcast, but what qualities do they all share that have brought them that success,
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like I said earlier in this podcast, but you'll be able to look at that as you interview all these people who, like I said, are all going to be very different, but all going to share the same things. And then you can, again, be honest with yourself and say, hey, do I share these qualities or not?
And I think
then too, once you, again, focus on yourself first and you invest in yourself, then success will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, going back to earlier in the podcast, we see these influencers and we try to chase that or do what they do, but then again, we lose sight of ourselves. So, and then, or this goal is going to be too far away. Gosh, I'm about to dive into something else here. So I don't really like to set goals. That's one thing I've been kind of learning recently. It's not, and I'm not saying goals as in like, I want to do this or this. I'm maybe more so speaking to like an exact numbered goal, or any goal to me is a ceiling. You can't, once you reach that goal, you reach that goal. And I think you should be proud of your achievements. So this is kind of where there's a little bit of jagged lines, but
Mm-hmm.
I think if you were to set your goals, and I think it's contradicting because everyone's like, oh, don't set these broad goals. You need to like figure out an exact goals. I'm trying to tie this in a way that's like easily explainable. But if I have like, if I want to do something with my kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and I just do it to that exact, or do I say, hey, I want to make my kitchen awesome? Well, now my brain's gonna have a little more freedom, and I might be more involved with it, and it might be better than what I originally anticipated. Okay, maybe for you, let's say you're, trying to bulk, and let's say you wanted to get to, I'm just gonna pick random numbers, 155. If you want to get to 155, you as a person I know would be determined enough to get there. Instead, you might say, or what I might say, and this method or thought process may not work for everybody, but hey, I want to bulk up. Well, I might get to a different number and be healthier than I would have been maybe at 155. So,
Are you saying that your goals can change?
not necessarily change, but just keep them open.
Yeah, that's probably a better way of putting it.
Because, like, okay, if you say I want to make $1 million, well, you may make $1 million, but that's your ceiling. Not saying once you reach $1 million, you can't change that goal. But then, too, if you say, if I'm in my shoes right now and say, hey, I want to make $1 million, what am I doing to achieve that goal? Instead, for me, it's like, okay, I'm not going to have any number goal. I'm going to take a look back at myself and say, hey, I just want to be successful and be the best at what I'm doing, and be really good and focus on the stuff I love and just be really good at it. Well,
then the million will come.
Then the million will be right there, because I'm not right. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like when you set a goal, you're chasing that goal. And I think people get so discouraged because that goal is so far away.
Mm-hmm.
Or instead, they could just be like, if your home was decluttered, and say, oh, I want to, declutter my whole house. Instead, you might say, hey, I'm going to kind of ignore everything, and I'm just going to clean up a little bit at a time. I think it'd be easier just to put your head down, pick away at what you can and be consistent with it and determined. Because eventually it'll get done. If you're consistent and disciplined, it'll get done. But if you're looking at it if you're just sitting there and like, wow, I got to clean this whole house, like there's no way I'm going to do that, then that goal is like not reachable. I mean, it is, but you'll just give up on it. So I'm trying to tie those two together, but.
One thing that you mentioned made me think of something that McQuenda had said. And I've heard this from different people
Mm-hmm.
also. But when he was first starting his business, he was doing work for free
Mm-hmm.
for companies to get his foot in the door. And when you're talking about successful people, a lot of them started out working for free.
Mm-hmm.
Because for him, he's not going to be able to get a contract from a well-known company as a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have, if a potential client says, okay, well, what kind of work have you done? And if you don't have anything, if you don't have any previous contracts with companies and previous work to show, then it's going to be pretty hard to convince a established company that you as a beginner, like, how are you going to convince that person that you're going to provide value for that business?
Right.
So he just said, yeah, I was doing work for free. And then once I proved to this company, yeah, I can do this, then we said, okay, let's write up a contract. And I remember, Luke Belmer, he did the same thing. I remember he was saying that he had done, I think it was some advertising work for a company in New York City. And he was doing it for, I don't know, a month or two. And he was significantly boosting their revenue. And so then he called them up and said, this is kind of funny. He called them up and said, I've been doing this work for you. Let's continue it, but I want a contract with you guys. And they said, maybe let's talk about it next month. We just tried to put it off.
Mm-hmm.
They said, okay. And then he just stopped their sales or stopped their advertising. Like, if you don't want to pay me, I'm not going to just keep doing this for free.
Yeah.
And then they called them up the next day. Hey, when can you get a flight to New York City?
Yeah.
New York City. So I think, and this is something that I have to think about too, is when you're starting out, you're building like I mentioned, the tools, like the discipline and the hard work to be successful. And one thing I think about is, how is my time right now benefiting me in the future?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that Alex Hormozi said is, if you give initially, you're going to receive more.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think makes sense, that yes, you're not going to be making money by doing work for free, but doing that work for free, showing people that you know what you're doing, showing people that you're a kind person and that you're willing to just help, that is going to get you more revenue in the long run than saying, I'm going to work for this amount of money for this time and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm skating, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I think it can be a harder pill to swallow, especially when you're in the game of making money as an entrepreneur. But it's something that is necessary, because, like, right now, I'm not getting paid to do this,
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, thank you to all 41 of you that subscribed, but I haven't hit the monetization yet. So all of this is for free. I hope to get there, but all this is for free.
But you have the willingness and drive to do it for free in the beginning. And I think that's where so many people, I guess, fail in entrepreneurship. And I always share too, I don't know if I shared it with you, but I always try to share, like, wealth is like exponential. The beginning is so flat that everyone, if you have a graph and it's like this.
Even negative.
Right.
You might lose money.
Yeah. The part in the beginning of success is so flat, and everyone gives up because there's so much time involved in the process that it's hard to see the end. But then once you get traction, I just think of, like, singers, but once they have one hit song, or one hit song, so obviously some people are one hit wonders, but okay, well, then it might open up all the rest of their music, and now they just exploded. All it took was that one little turning point in the graph. And again, you have to be honest with yourself. Am I willing to do all of this in the beginning for free? Because you have to have faith in the end. That graph is going to go up. You have to believe in yourself and say, hey, I'm going to be successful, but I got to put in all these hours to make it through this huge flat line first. And yeah, I just think so many people give up, and I think that's where I'm, proud of you, honestly, because I know myself in the beginning of anything. I just, bought a home, and obviously it needs a lot of work, and, I have a huge flat line of repairs and coming home every day and working on it and spending money on it. But I know in the end, after this long flat line of working on it, that, okay, now I might be able to sell it for, this much. And you say, okay, I'm going to put in 2 years of no growth, but then, hey, 2 videos are going to come up and I'm going to be, up here now.
Yeah. One thing that Mr. Beast said is, he was asked about YouTube advice. and you said your first 100 videos will not get any views. So just knowing that, I was like, okay, the king has spoken. He is, I believe, the biggest private YouTube channel in the world. And so I know that he knows what he's talking about. And so I just got to say, all right, first 100 videos are just a fart in the wind. They're going to,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see them or smell them, and then they're gone. Like, it's just, it's not going to help me. Or I should say, they are going to help me, but they're not going to
show any instant reward.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
or instant gratification, but
knowing that, it's like, all right, I just got to put my head down, shut up, and just work.
And are you willing to put in what, everyone speaks about 10,000 hours, but are you willing to put in 10,000 hours and receive
1 penny?
Yeah. And most people, and that's why most people aren't successful, because it's not
to do that.
It's not worth it to them. Which is perfectly fine. If you're happy with working 9 to 5 and doing whatever, I think there's kind of a battle between like, oh, you don't have to be super successful, and then super successful people say, don't be like this. To me, I don't care what anybody else does. I don't care if you want to be successful. I don't care if you want to play video games in your basement for the rest of your life. I don't care. Like, I'm too busy focused on what do I want.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm being honest with myself. What do I want out of life? And do I have what it takes, to do that?
Yeah. I think my view on maturity is knowing what is needed out of life and doing what it takes to get it. Because everybody can say, oh, it would be nice to have a big mansion and a boat and fast cars and all that kind of stuff, but are you willing to do what it takes to get it?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can say, oh, it'd be nice to have a beautiful family with a nice wife and a great, the suburban paradise.
Mm-hmm.
But are you willing to build yourself into a parent, not just somebody that has kids?
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that you choose that are needed out of life. And that's great that you can choose it. But like I said, are you that person? Are you that guy? Are you that girl? This dream for yourself that you have, are you that person? And it takes a strong person to look at themselves and say, yeah, I'm not there yet. But I think, to me, that's what maturity is. That's my definition. It's just knowing what you need to do and doing it. And going back to drive over motivation. Yeah, sometimes I'm motivated to work on this and to do the stuff I need to do. Sometimes I'm motivated to go in the gym, but there are days where I just so tired and I don't have any muscles that aren't sore,
Mm-hmm.
but I still got to work out shoulders today, or you just got to strap it on and go do it, because that's what is required.
I always say, at the end of the day, you do or you don't. People aren't going to see, right? If you become a success, I mean, that isn't just like a large YouTube channel in 2 years. No one's going to see the first 2 years.
Right.
No one's going to see the work you put in. And I think that's hard for people to accept, because I think they want other people to see maybe the work that they're putting in.
But nobody cares.
So, like I said, you do or you don't. You keep up on your fitness very well. You're in the gym or you're not. No one's looking at your thought process. No one cares how you feel. No one cares. Did you or did you not? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to the gym today? Did you? Yes. Did you feel like it? No. at the end of the day, they just say, okay, you went.
Everything else aside, you went.
Yeah. So I think of like that in my own life, and again, people think I'm crazy, but we talk about things, but I feel like I go through on what I'm going to say because I kind of train myself like, Brent, you're either going to do this or you don't. Like, all your thoughts aside, everything aside, there's a bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just wanted to share that really quick though.
My thought, and this is something that I am changing about myself, is I used to say what I wanted to do more, but now I don't want to do that anymore. I only like to talk about the things that I have accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
For example, with the house plants,
Mm-hmm.
we had ideas about growing cactuses for a business,
Mm-hmm.
and I just lost interest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but that's okay. You try and you fail.
Yeah, I try and I fail, but I wouldn't want to tell somebody, "Oh, I'm gonna make a bunch of money from this," and then you just peter out and just lose interest, and then somebody says, "Oh, how's that cactus business going?" And then you got to explain to them that you kind of lost interest, and it's like, okay, this guy's a loser. And whether or not they actually say that verbally, that's what people are thinking, like, hey, well, that's kind of lame. I would much rather hear about somebody saying, oh yeah, I built up this business over 2 years and this is where I'm at. Like, I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be the sayer and not the doer.
Yeah.
I
sometimes say things because I feel like I'm also bad at that. I like to share just my thoughts and my plans. I feel like I know myself enough, like I said, where I sometimes on purpose share it because then I know
like you're holding yourself accountable.
Yeah. So I view it a little bit different, but I also, like what you're saying, I don't go around and, say I'm going to do this exact thing. Again, I like sharing plans and ideas just because, I like to have fun and dream like everybody else.
I mean, I do too.
But yeah, I like I said, I say it because I like to hold myself accountable and like, I told all these people this, I got to do it. But I've also, I feel at the point in my life, talked about a lot of things, but also followed through on most of them.
Yeah, I've known people that, I'm thinking of one right now. I've known people that will say, "Oh, and the worst is when they say I am the best at this," and okay, nerd. But they'll say, "Oh, I want to do this in the future. I want to do that," and then
you do or you don't.
You do or you don't, and it separates the men from the boys, And like I said, with maturity, you can have these dreams, but a dream is a dream until you take it out of your head and make it with your own hands. And nobody's gonna congratulate you for your dreams. That doesn't pay your bills.
They want to see what you did.
Yeah.
Or make fun of you for what you didn't.
Which is probably going to be more often than not.
Yeah.
But I mean, the batting average in baseball, if you're a good player, you hit the ball 3 times out of 10, but it only takes one good hit to really make a difference. So, like with Grant, how many businesses has he tried?
Yeah, so many.
But I know that at some point, there's only so many times you can legitimately try a business before one just takes off. And I'm saying you're working hard, you're staying up late working on it, you're doing what you need to do. Something's going to happen like this with the YouTube. At some point, some videos are going to take off. I know that. I just have to keep waiting for that point.
You got to have faith in that. You have to know it'll happen.
Well, that was fun.
I feel like we got so sidetracked so
Yeah.
many times, but that's cool.
And this time, I was actually talking to my brother about that because I was thinking about, like, what assets do you have as a person?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, siren. I thought an asset could be you have rental homes,
Mm-hmm.
or an asset could be you have a service-based industry like the people I've interviewed. But then there's also assets like your own personality and the aspects of your personality. And being scatterbrained, like I am,
Oh, I am too.
is not good in most cases. But in terms of, at least I like to think in terms of keeping the audience intrigued over a long period of time, it can be good because you're providing different topics of conversation, not just the one same boring, and then it's like just drawing on.
Yeah.
And, you're going to lose people. So, and that's something I noticed about Joe Rogan, is I've been really, really studying him. Is he'll talk about something for 10 minutes, and then he'll kind of change topics onto something else, and he keeps it interesting, not just the same droning conversation that just keeps going on and on.
Yeah.
Like he knows how to do his job as the host.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so,
and you can always come back to topics and expand on them, and or if the audience is engaged, or whatever.
But just think about what assets do you have and how can I monetize them, or just use them to the best of your ability for whatever you want to do. But that was a long intro, or I'm sorry, outro. But thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.
All right.